Looking into this crash in Philadelphia, you're seeing the pictures right here. Last night, tragic, 7 people dead, 200 people wounded. And I have with me now 2 former NTSB investigators who are expert in this kind of thing, Alan Diehl and Russell Quimby. We're getting back to both of you here. I want you to respond. We have sound from Sumalt here to what he had to say about the braking and about the speed. Listen to this.
The engineer applied put the train into emergency braking a few seconds before, moments before the derailment, and in the next 3 or 4 seconds, the speed of the train had only decreased to 102. As we know, it takes a long time and distance to decelerate a train.
So, Russell, to you first. If the information ends at 102 miles per hour, is that when the train flew off the tracks, in your view?
Oh, I think it was already probably getting ready to leave the track before that. The cause of the derailment was the speed of the train, and I think that's going to become intuitively obvious as the investigation goes on. And
Alan, do you agree?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. At this point, that's the preliminary indication, and that's way beyond a reasonable speed for that part of the track segment.
All eyes on the engineer, and as we've been saying all along, the engineer refused to be interviewed by police, Philadelphia police there, and the NTSB is yet to talk to him, which is pretty much the way this kind of thing works. We also heard from Sumalt on the issue of equipment, and I want to hear that again. Let's hear from Sumalt one more time here.
The train had recorders, it had forward-facing video cameras, and it had an event data recorder. Both of these recorders are being sent to our laboratory for analysis in Washington, D.C.
All right. All that being sent to Washington, D.C. Russell, how long will that take to analyze, and what will we learn from that?
Well, the download and the analysis, the download will take maybe a half an hour. It depends on how detailed they want to get. And it's a printout, both a graphic printout and a list by second of what's happening in a variety of parameters with the locomotive and the train. To me, I think probably what that data is going to confirm is kind of what we already know, and it's just going to better document what the actual speeds were that they were going. And it'll also, Amtrak has on some of their data recorders what the cab signal system is getting. And so it's going to be telling us what in the cab that engineer should be seeing as far as cab signal.
Alan, to you, this idea about the positive train control and whether or not it was in operation on this part of the track, obviously Sumwalt saying today, no, it was not. Could that have prevented this? That's what Sumwalt said. It could have prevented this crash. Do you agree?
Yes, certainly, Gerri. That the automation, there's always an issue about how much automation do you need on these vehicles, whether it's an aircraft or a train, but it looks like this is a well-proven concept. Russell may know more about the details of how it works than I do, and somebody else has pointed out this looked like a new locomotive cab. One of the things the NTSB will be looking at is how much training has this particular engineer had on this apparently new design cab. This is something that they'll want to probe.
All right, Russell, tell us about positive train control. How does it work? Is it reliable? You say it's on many parts of the track. Why not here?
Well, good question, and that's the one that grates on me most, because if this system had been in place, this accident wouldn't have happened. It uses passive transponders to enforce permanent civil speed restrictions and protect against overspeed, exactly what happened in this accident. Now, the locomotive 601 is a Siemens ACS 64 Amtrak Cities Sprinter, and it's relatively new. I believe it came on board Amtrak in 2014, so last year. So it is a relatively new engine and technology.
Well, that's what we're hearing, brand new engines here. Does that take additional training, Alan? Do you have any idea whether somebody who might be new to operating a train with that engine might have difficulty with it?
Well, yeah, that's something that the NTSB will have investigated. I don't know that the controls and the displays are that much different than the legacy models, but that's the kind of thing that Schumwalt's team will be probing, and they'll also be looking at the training that Amtrak conducts for this. Maybe they don't need what we call a differences course to see how this piece of equipment is different than the one that they are used to. But those are the kind of questions that Schumwalt pointed out that it's going to be weeks before we know all these kind of answers.